Okay. Peace, peace, peace. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Movie Understandings with me, Achi. You know what I'm talking about? And I'm back. I'm back. Yeah. Back off sick bed. Sick leave. Anyway. Um peace. Sister Kashia. Um So I just want to say, get thanks to everybody, that came through in the clutch, you know what I'm talking about, and especially Chief, man. I didn't even expect it, but that really raised my spirits. We said he'll be all right. It's like yeah, son, I'll be fine. Because Big you said I'm gonna be all right, Chief. All right, but anyway, so yeah, man, what I'm talking about. We back at it, and I'm gonna finish where I left off with Dynasty Warriors. Basically, what I'm talking about. We just talking about the events that happened before the movie Red Cliff, which I did some time ago, right? So this is everything that happened before that. But Dynasty Warriors is actually was based off of the novel series Romance of the Three Kingdoms, and it's based off of the historical period of the Warren States period after the fall of the Han Dynasty. So it's a video game. I grew up on this video game. You know what I'm saying? Like I always say, my faction was Woo. You know what I'm talking about? So yeah, peace, sovereign eats. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I'm back. I'm back. Got that TME and I'm good. You know what I'm talking about? But so that's what we're dealing with. Mind you, we're dealing with the video game lore, but I can tie it into the actual history easy, right? So when we start off with the movie, what I'm talking about, it's during the Yellow Turban Rebellion. So you have to understand that this is during the fall of the Han Dynasty, which was started by Liu Bang, um, and actually the Han was a region. One, it was a region. Two, it's an ethnicity. It's basically the main ethnicity in China. Many Han descendants. And so this is during the time where it's falling. When I guess you could say when a superpower has lost its power, and it's in decline, and it's not just in mere decline. It's done. It's really done. Peace, Sister Deirdre. Yes, you do. Let me tell you, this Sister Deirdre got knows. This girl got knows. Let me tell you, if we ever, if we was ever in class, I know who to go to for notes. You know what I'm talking about? And that's you, because you had 8 pages of notes, and here I am trying to figure out how you get 8 pages. I don't have 8 pages. You know what I'm talking about? But you got 8 pages. You know what I'm talking about? But that's wonderful. If I need notes, I know who to go to. You know what I'm talking about? Peace, Chief. You know what I'm talking about? Thank you, sir. Already. You know what I'm talking about? I'm good to be back, Um, so I was saying, you have a superpower, that's um on its way out. You have to understand that, during this time, it's basically, um in the say third, we just say second, third century AD, or Common Era CE, but after the death of Christ, right? So you got to remember, in the Western world, Rome is still around. Rome is running things. I'm running things. I'm running things. Okay. Rome is running things. But in the East, this superpower is losing this hold on China, you know, and it's on its way out. Nobody's really in power. Who really is in power is the eunuchs. And for those that don't know, a eunuch is basically a courtier that serves the emperor, and they don't have no peen, you know. And don't get no twig and berries no more. But yeah, they're males with no twig and berries. But they amassed a lot of power during this time. And usually they say it's the 10 eunuchs. They never give the names, but it's basically the 10 eunuchs. And they're running things, you know what I'm saying? They're running things and they have an emperor, you know what I'm saying? But he's not really he's just the figurehead. He's not really the power or the actual ruler. It's these eunuchs. You know what I'm saying? My name is Precious. Okay. And that's who's running the government or the empire on a surface level, but nobody's really in power at this time. You don't know who's in power. They say it's the emperor, but it ain't him. It's these eunuchs. Who the hell are they? You know, it's something like that. And because of that, you know, because of that, um, a movement happens, and it's called the Way of Peace. I've always known it as the Way of Peace. That's what they call it. But because they wear these yellow turbans on their head, they call them the yellow turbans. But it's all for me. It's always been known as the Way of Peace. That's really the movement that happens, and it's known as the Yellow Turban Rebellion, which happens in 184, Common Era, right, CE, and it's led by, as you know, the guy that was on the altar, Zhang Jiao. You know, but what you don't see is that it's not just Zhang Jiao that or Zhang Jiao who was the leader. He's followed by two of his brothers, which is Zhang Liang and Zhang Bao. You know, um, they follow their brother, and they help lead the movement of the Yellow Turbans. Now, mind you, it's just not the Yellow Turban Rebellion. I mean, there's a bunch of different insurrections that are happening all over the land, but that's the most common one. You know what I'm talking about? In the film, they depict, yeah, Zhang Zhao as a shaman type. Yeah, that's also because in the game, that's how he's depicted. He's depicted as like a priestly shaman type, but at the same time, it's like he's depicted like a shaman type, but fake. You know, like you're leading people astray. Like if you ever played the game, like look, now I gotta get into the game. Like if you ever played the game, like and like they have this, like they talk, they have James Zhao say, "Release the divine wind," right? And then you have the divine wind. Then when you get to a certain part, you realize that the divine wind is not the divine wind, but these big fans. Something like that. It's like it's a fake movement. You know what I'm saying? That's really there to trick the people. It's funny, but that's what it is, right? Um, and so they lead this move. They're leading this movement, and it gets traction amongst the common people and things like that. But then you have South South and Dong Zhuo. You'll see him in this scene. Because they're doing a big battle, and then you have what Liu Bei, um, Zhang Fei, and Guan Yu. They're also at the battle, and they beat them. I thought it was because this is from the perspective of the heroes who wanted to restore the dynasty. It is, but you have to understand that in the actual Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the books, it's like that. Um, Lil Bay has always been the paragon of virtue, and South South the antagonist. You know what I'm saying? Um, that's how it is in the books. Um, so yeah, it's from that perspective. You know what I'm talking about? Peace Utu. And but you have this big battle, and Zhang Zhao, he actually dies, and his brothers die, in this battle. And in the movie, it's just a series of texts. Just a bunch of text that happens, and you don't know, you really don't understand the context of what's happening, right? The beginning of South South, that was in Redcliffe. Yeah. Um, I think it was cool. The actor that played him, one guy, he he does good at South South. He's just not as the problem with this movie is that there's a lot of political intrigue that goes on during this time, and you don't realize that what's going on and things like that. But during this time, Dong Zhuo, he he basically stands in for the emperor. The emperor's still on the throne, but he's actually running the government. But he's all he cares about is amassing wealth and women. You know, you see, it doesn't say it, well, it doesn't show it, which it should. But after the yellow turban, well, the main yellow turban rebellion is quelled, because the yellow turbans are still going to be a pain in the neck. They're just not going to have the leaders that but they're still going to be in the region, right? After that, you basically have Donjo is well, he's not going to run it yet, but you're going to have a coalition, basically the anti-eunuch coalition, right? And it's led by a man called Hujin, Hejin, right? But you don't say he, you probably say Hu. So Hujin, right? And he's the Empress's brother, and he leads a coalition to basically arrest and depose the 10 eunuchs that are in power. But the thing is that he falls into their trap and they kill him. You know what I'm saying? Peas him too. But they kill him. Now they kill him, but um Sao Sao and Yuan Shu, they're also at the palace in their time at this time. So they find out that Hujin has been killed, and then they get mad, and then they just start killing the eunuchs, and then the eunuchs start running away, and then they run away with the emperor and this little brother, right? They leave the capital, and then Dong Zhuo kills the rest of the eunuchs, and finds the emperor and his brother, and his little brother, um, whose name is Lin Shi. Um, he says, "Hey, bow your head. Don't you know this the emperor?" This little kid, And Donjo takes a liking to the kid. He's like, "Oh, this kid got that much courage to tell me to bow to to the emperor. I need to put him in power," and that's what he does. So, um, the former emperor Liu Bian is replaced by his brother Lin Shi, um, by Dong Zhuo. And then you see, Dong Zhuo was basically running the realm. But then that cause a problem, because Dong Zhuo ain't really taking care of the people, and he's just, being a tyrant. So then you see where you have South South at a party, right? Now usually in the books and in TV shows and things like that, actually, South South's not even invited to that party. He wasn't even invited, but he crashes the party, right? But really, that birthday party that's supposed to quote unquote birthday party, he is really to basically come up with a plan to see how they can get Dong Zhuo out of power. But South South so politically savvy, he picks up on the basically the leader whose house that they're at. He picks up on his nonverbal communication and he acts out. But he acts out, saying that he'll do this, Dong Zhuo and things like that, just to get his attention. You know what I'm saying? And so, when all the guests are gone and whatnot, yes, he was. um Sexing up the royal harem and everything. Yes, Sister Deirdre, he was sexing up the royal harem. But you gotta understand, he ain't South South though. South South's Mr. Steal Your Girl. South, look, he don't got nothing on South South. If you ask me, South South's Mr. Steal Your Girl. Okay, but yeah, but so he talks to him and says, well, if you're gonna kill Don Draw, I want you to do it with this. He gives him, as you see in the movie, it's a dagger, as they say, but it's called the 7-star sword. So he given him the 7-star sword and he presents it to Don Juan, like you see in the movie. And he's supposed to kill him, but because Don Juan is saved because he sees South South in the mirror and he's like, South South, what you doing? He's like, I'm presenting this to he's about to kill him, but then he realized he's about to get, the jig's about to be up. So he's like, I'm presenting this weapon to you. It's the 7-star sword. He's like, oh, really? This is a nice gift, and then as you see in the movie, South South's trying to leave, the palace, but Lu Bu and them is trying to cut him off, and then he's on the run. Now, this is sort of where you see Lu Bu. You have to understand that Lu Bu is one of is famed for being one of the greatest warriors, during this time, and has no equal. There is a poem about him. And there's very few words. It says, among men, Lu Bu, and then among horses, red hair, right? Lu Bu, rode a horse, and it was this famous horse, and it was called Red Hair, he actually Lu Bu was a fool, but he had no equal. And one thing you have to understand about Lu Bu is that, and it doesn't show this in the movie, is that Lu Bu, he was a great warrior, but he was bored. And what I mean by that is, Lu Bu went to war and a battle just looking for a challenge because he was bored. He's the unrivaled, unparalleled warrior. It's lonely at the top. Flash, it's lonely at the top. He's sitting up on top of the mountain and can't nobody challenge him. And he's bored. He wants a challenge. You know what I'm talking about? That's one thing you have to understand about him. Also, he's a man of ill character and an oath breaker. How he gets into it with, or gets on Don Juan's team is that, at first Don Juan sees that, he's a good warrior, but his godfather has Lu Bu. And so what Don Juan does, he recruits Lu Bu and says, look, you kill your godfather, then I'll be your godfather and whatnot. And that's what he does. He kills him. He kills his godfather, which is it's a big thing, he kills his godfather and then says Don Juan's not my godfather. He's an oath breaker. He's wishy washy. He doesn't have no character. His word don't mean anything. You know, but they try to make him look like he's so menacing, and he is. You know what I'm saying? But he he's mostly bored and looks for a chance, and all he can do is fight. That's why I say he's a fool, because there's some things that he does is foolish because he doesn't have strategy. All he has is brute strength and warriorhood, but he don't have no strategy. That's why strategists are needed, and that's why he's going to need one. You know what I'm talking about? But you have that, and then I gotta balance back and forth. Then you have Zhang Fei, Guan Yu, and Liu Bei going to the cave to meet basically the goddess who bestows upon them weapons, right? Now, mind you, she did the same thing for Lu Bu, but it's just not Lu Bu. It's a bunch of heroes that they don't say. Even Dondro, at least if you, in hindsight, he has a hero's weapon, made of blood iron and things like that. Even he has one. And other characters that you meet, you know what I'm saying? They're all heroes, you know what I'm saying? All basically have the mantle of leadership, but can they rule a country? That remains to be seen. But in some shape and form, they all lead men and soldiers and land. They all have their own land, and they all lead in some type of way. But can they rule? Um, that's, I guess, the question that comes into this story. Who has the ability to rule? Who has rulership? Because the emperor doesn't. He's a little kid. And he's being led by Don Zhuo. And then before him, it was the dang on 10 eunuchs. So who really has the ability to rule? You know what I'm saying? We don't know who's in power. If you're just the common people, I don't see the emperor, but these warlords, they're the ones that affect my daily life. You know what I'm talking about? So you see that, and then you see the brothers take an oath in the books and things like that. When they become sworn brothers, it's called the oath at the peach garden. And it's not peaches, it's peach blossoms. But it's the oath that they make that, even though they weren't born on the same day, they vow as brothers to die, on the very same day. You know what I'm saying? Basically, they become sworn brothers, making the oath, and that's always been a big scene. You know what I'm saying? But you don't get it. You just get them in the woods somewhere making this oath. But it's actually at a peach garden, you know. And what? So that's really what that scene means. After they leave the cave, no one. That is why the country was in the period of chaos. Yeah, but so did you have to understand that dynasty was in a period of chaos for a very long time, even before these things happened. You know what I'm saying? The Han Dynasty does issue in a golden age, but it's riddled with chaos. It's riddled with chaos. Sometimes you gotta look at the founder, just see where it's going to go from there, But yeah, it's riddled with chaos, So it's just not him. Zhang Fei was very dark. He wasn't supposed to be melanated. I would say Zhang Fei and Guan Yu have always been depicted as melanated. So you can say that because you have to understand that when you get to like the Namen and the South, they're more melanated. They are really more melanated. You know what I'm saying? And dialect. In this movie, you can tell that it was made by Hong Kong because they speak Cantonese. It's not mainland China that made this movie. It's basically Hong Kong. So you can, by the dialect, you knew that it is the movie was made in the South. Even by the way they say the names, right? But yeah, I would say that. I would totally say that, Sister Deirdre. Um, but sometimes it depends on region. You know what I'm saying? Usually more melanated are in the southern coastal regions. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think um where Zhang Fei was actually from, they were more melanin dominant. But in the south, but the southeast and west, they were more melanated because those were the Namen kingdoms at one point in time before they got taken over. You know what I'm talking about? And the tribe and the Namen tribe, so or they say barbarian tribes, they were still there. So yeah. Um, so after that, you see you know, uh South South fell in, you see South South gets captured, and he meets Chingong, and then he tells him, how can a common fellow read the mind of a great man? which I thought was very interesting that he said that. You know what I'm saying? Because what Sasa was pretty saying, how can you read my vision or how far I'm going to get? Because Sasso's now realized now that he's captured, trying to assassinate Don Juan, that wasn't the smart move. The smarter move was to just raise an army and just depose him that way. Take him out that way instead of basically, I guess you say, doing the punk thing and trying to assassinate him. But because of what he says, Chingon joins him and follows him. And while Sasa's on the run, with Chingon, he goes to his father's friend or sworn brother's house, which is Luo Bosha. Um, and he's welcomed. But Sasa's paranoid because people are trying to kill him. And, he's on the run. He's a fugitive. So, he hears, people talking about uh somebody's trying to kill him. That the plot. And so what Sassas does, he kills the whole house, basically the whole family. He kills the whole house, only to realize that what they were really talking about was how they're going to kill the pig to feed, Sao Sao and Shen Gong. Was it pig or the cow? I think it was pig. But and then he realized that, and then he feels sad for a minute, but then he gets up out of it. And then Shen Gong looks at him amazed and he says, man, I would rather, I'd rather betray the whole world. Famous words, I'd rather betray the whole world than let it betray me. And when he says that, Shen Gong, as they sleep or as Sao sleeps, he's like, I'm going to kill him, but he doesn't kill him. He just leaves his knife, in the wood, and he says, "Man, why you need to kill me?" You know what I'm saying? It was a waste. But Sao goes to his father, and he tells that Dad, sell all our land. I'm gonna raise an army, and that's what he does. They raise an army. They get good. They send out flyers and whatnot. To get men to join and things like that. And then you see the three brothers. They make an oath, and things, and then you see the basically the warlords meeting, which is basically the anti Dongzhuo coalition, and that mean that Shushui Pass, you know, and they're and but the Dongzhuo forces are at, they say Hulao Pass. I've always known it to be Hulao Gate. You know, it's always been Hulao Gate for me. So, but uh, they all go to this meeting, and one thing that Guan Yu says is that true heroes don't rely on background. You know what I'm saying? um, where some people, and it's basically you see that with the general Yuan Shao. He has a family background of nobles and military background, but he's not a real hero. And that's when those words hit home. Real hero doesn't rely on background. He relies on himself. You know what I'm saying? And but Guan Yu and Lil Bei and Zanfei, that it's just three of them, right? And people laugh at them because they don't have no army. It's just them. You know what I'm saying? But Southside says, let them in. Let them in. They're good. Let them in. Hulao was the moat that protects the castle, the hedge at the bottom of the ravine. Mm-hmm. Was a raging river. Yeah. Um, and so, they're meeting, and they meet all these different warlords, right? But at this time, you see Southside trying to recruit Guan Yu because he knows, Guan Yu's a great warrior. He's a rival Lubu. And this is just the first of many times that Southside realistically is going to try to recruit Guan Yu because he wants him. You know what I'm saying? Um, but as they're fighting, Dongzhou's forces at Hulao Gate, they come to a snag because of a general, Wazhong, that's on that side, and he's basically defending well, and they can't get through. And people try to, there's some captains that go to challenge him one on one, and they end up dead. So, it's up to Lil Bei. Well, actually, Guan Yu. Guan Yu says, "Man, I'll kill him." You know what I'm saying? And they pour wine for him, and he said, "I ain't about to drink that right now. I'm about to go kill him, and I'll be back." And he makes light work of Washington. He makes light work of him. But he comes back, and when he comes back, Lil Bei actually receives, his first command, of actual army. You know what I'm saying? And that's how he wins it, through his brother. You know what I'm talking about? But because Wazhong is dead, then you have Dongzhuo sending Lubu to Hulao Gate. You know what I'm saying? The wine is still warm. You know what I'm talking about, Chief? The wine was still warm when he came back. That was the cool thing about it. You know what I'm saying? The wine was still warm. But another thing that you see, that one of the great generals that's there is Sun Jian. And Sun Jian is the father of Sun Ce and Sun Tran, or Sun Tran, or Sun Quan, because I know people don't say it, but Sun Quan. That you see in Redcliffe. You see his father. Well, no, you see his father, you see his brother, and you see him. He's the little boy. At this time, even then, Sun Tran was a great intellectual, and had a mind for strategy. But you don't get um, uh, the importance on the Sun family in this movie. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, you see them also, and they do great work. They once their army is the vanguard. That's what they don't tell you. The army is the vanguard, and they decimate, and they get a lot of merit. Also, during the Yellow Turban Rebellion, it's also Sun Jian that cleans up the Yellow Turban Rebellion. Um, that they don't go into that, but that's what actually happens. Um, Meanwhile, the 18 generals were not trusting Guan Yu's skills. You see the actual depth of their character and what they were about. Yeah, you will see. That's what was so interesting about this coalition, because it's going to have all these warlords, and they all have some type of territory, and then you see the personality that they all have. You know what I'm saying? And South pretty much sizes them up. Like, who here really has the courage or the manhood to actually rule? And he don't see it. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, but also at this time, Dongzhou moves the capital from Luoyang to Chang'an. You know, agendas were on deck, and now for everyone, yeah, there was many agendas. So he moves the capital, but when he moves the capital, what he does is, and they don't show it, is that he burns the capital. He takes all the money and from the people and everything, and he burns everything. He takes all the wealth, everything. He desecrates the tombs, everything. He takes everything. He takes all the wealth out and take it all to Chang'an, but he burns the city. You know, even if the anti forces are not even there, he still burns the city. You know what I'm talking about? And then you have after that, you see basically Lubu meets Dao Chan. And Dao Chan, aka Silk Cicada, Dao Chan is is one of the five beauties or famed beauties of China. You know what I'm talking about? And she meets first off, you have to understand that Dao Chan is a fan beauty, but she also is playing the game. You know what I'm talking about? She is also playing the game. So the regiment fighting at Hula Pass was for nothing. It was to it did hold a region. I would say substantial. It was to hold them to make the escape. If I got Lubu here, they ain't getting past him. So yeah, it's the whole look. You hold them off, I'm gonna burn this capital. So even if they do get past you, nothing's there. The emperor's not there. No one's there. The capital's been moved. You know what I'm talking about? See, already. But like I said, Dao Chan plays the game, and she's pretty much been put into the game by her godfather, Wang Yun, and he comes up with a plan. He wants her to meet with Lubu. He's gonna basically put her between Lubu and Dongzhou. That's how she gets put in the game, because she's in on it. She's in on the setup. She in on the hit. You know what I'm talking about? Because everybody knows Lubu, and when you knows Lubu well enough to say, I know this dude would kill this dude for if a beautiful woman came between them. You know what I'm talking about? So just so happens I got a fame beauty. You know what I'm saying? Of course you would. You wouldn't get it unless you were like really delved into this, right? So I got a fame beauty, right? So he sends Dao Chan to Lubu. So when you see her in the river and she's like, I'm about to kill myself because my father wants me to marry someone I don't love and things like that, it's a setup. It's a setup. It's a setup. That's not really happening. She's been sent there. She's in on it. But she plays like the damsel in distress, like, my father wants me to marry this guy. I don't love him, and what am I supposed to do? And she acts like she don't know who Lubu is, but she know who Lubu is, right? But she acts like, sir, this is the Super Saiyan stuff. Already, you know what I'm talking about? Look, the greatest warrior, but he's sipping on Jay, right? But this is the beauty of at least in East in on the East, you got women being feminine, using their feminine wiles to set you up. You don't get this on the West, but she's acting like, who are you, sir? My father wants me to marry this guy, and I don't know, and she don't know who this guy is, but she knows Lubu. And he's like, he gives her a token, his token, which says Lu on it, which is his family name, his surname. Said, you got that token, you show him that, your father ain't gonna send you to nobody because you belong to me. And so they have, and she's like, oh, General. She doesn't say Lubu, even though she says General, Oh, but I'll be waiting. And he's like, wait for me. I'm come get you. You gonna marry me. So, Lubu falls in love and whatnot. Simping on chick. Don't even know she an agent. For his demise, But she beautiful. Apparently, she fine, I guess, But wow, that went right over my head. Yeah, yes, it's Deirdre. Yeah, but she's been set up for that, right? So while all of this is going on, what's going to happen is that Wayne Yun, once they have that meeting, Wayne Yun's going to go to Don Zhuo and tell him about Dao Chan. You know what I'm talking about? And then say, she was supposed to get married to this guy, but he has came back from the war. Why don't I give her to you? See what I'm saying? He don't say, oh, she's been promised to Lubu. But he knows. I think he does tell him that. In the books. I think he does tell him that I promised her to Lubu, but Lubu ain't around. And but he takes her anyway, right? So I'll save all the rest of that for a little bit later. But that happens. But then you see, South sparring with Lil Bay. And basically that spar is just a spar of ideologies. Because all they're doing is talking about what they believe and things like that. And then you see the difference between the two men. You know what I'm saying? Whereas Lil Bay wants, to basically rule with virtue, and he wants to restore the Han and things like that. He's too absent-minded to see that the Han is done. Whereas South's like, I want to do away with it, rebuild something new. You know what I'm saying? And I want to use people with great skill to do it. My mom was more be feminine, play your role, and the men will come. The whole time she was playing them. Well, he did. Look, the man did come, and she got the greatest warrior. She got the greatest warrior, like of all well, not all history, but the greatest warrior in the land. So the man did come. But she knew she was gonna come. She knew. She knew. She set it up for him to come around. You know how some girls, they like they act like they stubbed they toe or something just to get your attention. That's all. That's pretty much all she did. She feigned like she was gonna kill herself when she really wasn't, and he bought it hook, line, and sinker. Southside was the self. Well, in a sense, Southside's the self. You can say that. She was Bathsheba. Mm, well, she wasn't Bathsheba because she didn't have no man. Because she didn't have a husband. So you can't say she's Bathsheba. But I ain't gonna. I ain't. That, that's a whole different lore. I ain't gonna put that on her. She's just her. We just gonna say Dow Chad is Dow Chad, right? She's just her. You know what I'm saying? But she know how to put the honey out there. You know, get the bees to come sniffing. You know, or put honey on her body to get the the metal worker to come out here. come out from working. Come out the woods, But yeah. um, so you see that, but then you see Lil Bae, Guan Yu, and Zhang Fei, fight Lu Bu. It was a big fight, and they used the iron blood, and then you realize, the greater the blood, the more powerful the weapon. And that happens, and they can't beat them. Even realistically, when they join the actual fight, in real life, they can't beat him still. But she was betrothed. Does that count? The betrothal was fake. She wasn't really betrothed. She said that to get Lubu to basically cover her. You could say that because as long as she had that token, now she belongs to Lubu because he was going to marry her. So basically, that Lubu was her betrothed, but she had to set him up. Said that on betrothed and whatnot. No, she wasn't. She really wasn't betrothed. That was all part of the plan. Sister Deirdre, you know what I'm talking about? It was all part of the plan. And yeah, no problem. Bevakasha, right? And so as they fight, he finally, Lubu finds out that Da Chan is set to marry Don Dro. So that makes him go back. Now they don't show this in the movie, but he goes back to her godfather Wang Yu and said, "Why'd you let her go to? Why'd you let her go there? I said she's mine." And this is political intrigue. Wang Yun plays dumbs like, my lord, I can't refuse. It's Dong Zhuo, he would kill me if I told him, I saved her for you and things like that. I didn't know what else to do, my lord. He feigns ignorance. You know what I'm saying? And I realized Sasai didn't draw his sword through the whole battle except during his sparring with Lubu. Lil back. Yeah, he didn't draw a sword at all. Now, he does fight, realistically, historically, he does fight. But he also does run away. People got to save Southside life so many times. Because he does because he missed to steal. Okay, here's something. Because he missed to steal your girl, there was one incident where years later, South basically messes with someone's wife, the wife of a general. Well, a dead general. He was dead, but his nephew had an issue with that, right? So what the nephew does is rouse the army and ambush Southside, right? Southside has to run away. Southside has to run away. And it's his bodyguard and his son, his eldest son, that stays behind. They both end up dead. All because he wanted to mess with the magic. But you know what I'm saying? The general, they kill him. They kill his best bodyguard and his son because they set him up. It's you sort of see it in that scene in a couple of TV shows. But yeah, they set him up, and hey, he got to run away. Ain't the first time he ran away. Ran away from a fight, all because of himself. But yeah. So, but Wayne plays ignorance. And so, he goes to basically Donjo and he sees, Dao Chan with him. And Lubu's like, well, Donjo's like, you got a problem with this? And then he says no, but he really does have a problem. You know what I'm saying? Because then he's gonna meet Dao Chan. Because at first he's like, well, I'm gonna do it. Forget that girl. Go give me another one or whatever. But Dao Chan goes to him and be like, General, I'm supposed to be yours. I didn't want this. She plays it up, boy. I'm supposed to be promised to you. I am yours, and and she shows him the token that she has, and things like that, and because of that, she egged him on. Look, Lubu ends up killing. Well, it don't show you in the movie. Lubu ends up killing Dongjo. He cooperates with Wang Yun, and they kill him. You know what I'm saying? They desecrate. Dongjo's body is famed that when they burn Dongjo's body, the oil, because he's so fat, the oil in his body, sets his body ablaze for days. Keeps his body on fire for days because he's so fat. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know what I'm saying. But you don't see that they sort of put things out of context. Well, out of place. Because then after this, then you got Lil Yang set on fire and things like that. But then you have Sasa and Lil Bay meeting, and Sasa was asking who's a hero. You know what I'm saying? And then you have Lil Bay saying, well, it's, Wan Shao, and he's like, no, not him. And then he's like, well, then Sun Jian. And then he says, oh, he's going to go back. He's going to have the seal, and he's going to go back home, and things like that. Well, actually, what happens is, Sun Jian, when they get to Luoyang and it's burnt to the ground, he goes to a well and he finds the imperial seal, which is basically the mandate of heaven, which gives you the right to rule, in the well. But he goes back home, but he tries to go back home, back to the south. But the problem is people know that he has the seal, and so he has to fight his way back home. But he ends up dying, because they set a trap for him. Basically, a warlord, Liu Biao, and they who run the Hanzhong region, which will be in contest. That region will be important. Once during the Battle of Three Kingdoms, Red Cliff and things like that. But they kill him. They set a trap for him and they kill him. So his son Sun Ce, they get back home, but they still got the seal. You know what I'm saying? And what Sun Ce does with that seal is he gives it to Yuan Shu and he gets him the army, and then he conquers basically the southwest region of China, and they call him the Little Conqueror. That's how he got his name, Little Conqueror. You know what I'm talking about? And but that's what he uses it for. But you have, Sasa and Lil Bay talking about this, who's a hero. But actually, like I say, it's out of context because when Sasa asks him this, it's basically to let him know, well, at least let Lil Bay know that I know that you're working against me. Because this happens years later. Because it just said sometime later. Well, you have to understand that during this time, it's basically every man for himself, every warlord for himself. Lubu is wandering and serving on the different lords and helping them out with their armies because he doesn't stay with Wang Yun. Wang Yun gets killed by Li Ju and I forget the other guy. But and then they run, basically the capital and things like that. Lil Bay basically gets a region and then he loses it. Look, Lil Bay gets the region and then loses it. But then sometimes people want him to rule and then, he don't want to rule. You know. But he sometimes serve on the South South. Sometimes. And then he flips sides. Because there's a time when even Lil Bay will serve on the Lubu. But because of his brother, I'm talking about Zhang Fei, because Zhang Fei, he's the savage. He be doing crazy stuff, and Lubu can't take it, and because of that, Lubu be, kicking them out of their, kicking them out of their region and things like that. But when he asks him that, it's basically to confirm to him that he knows that he's part of the anti-South South coalition that's secretly been set up by the emperor, because there's a secret belt edict, to basically quell South South. So when he asks him that in that scene, that's basically what he's talking about. He asks him, "Who's a hero?" And then they go into that and say, "I only see you and me as heroes." You know what I'm saying? I already telling you in that scene, I don't see you and me I only see you as my adversary. You know what I'm saying? I only see you as worthy of actually having the right to rule. So I'm going to have to kill you sooner or later. But I know that you, the emperor sent you to basically do away with me, because Lil Bay is part of the royal family. He's part of a princely branch, and he grew up poor, but he's still part of a princely bloodline. So when he meets the emperor, he has the title of being the royal uncle, when he meets him, because he tells him his lineage. And he says, "Oh, you're my that will make you my uncle. So you have the title of royal uncle." But seeing all to say that is that the in between period, it's a lot of chaos. It's a lot of chaos, and it's just every warlord for himself. But even the warlords don't have complete control, because the empire is still, well, the emperor or the imperial government still runs things. It's just the warlords got the power, but they can't claim the imperial right, because they or the right to be an emperor or to usurp the throne, because if they did, then all the other warlords will basically create a coalition against them. You know what I'm saying? Because they don't have the mandate of heaven or whatever. And so nobody is in power. You know what I'm saying? Right now, it's just a Royal Rumble. we just gonna call it like that. WWE, we go back to WWE. It's just a Royal Rumble. You don't know who's gonna win at this point. You know what I'm saying? But actually, if you look at as time goes by, there's only 3 people that pretty much deserve to be rulers. And that's Cao Cao, Lil Bay, and Sun Quan, because those are the 3 kings, or the 3 emperors, because there weren't no kings, but there were 3 emperors, you know what I'm talking about? But they're the only ones that deserve to be rulers. But this is also, if you look at it, it's also a actionary debate. It's also an actionary debate in the sense on who has the right plan to rule the government once the Han is done. Um, everybody think that they that they got the best plan, but they don't. There's gonna be one, like Yuan Shao's brother, Wan Shu. He's gonna, because he has the seal or whatever, he's gonna say, "Oh, I claim to be emperor." As soon as he does that, everybody goes against him. And then he ends up losing his territory, losing his land, and dying, dying alone and broke and everything. you know, um, and things. South forever amasses power. He amasses power. He amasses people and things like that. And he fights um powerful rulers. He's going to fight Wan Shu. You know what I'm saying? Battle of Guandu. That's another great battle. That will probably be good for a movie. Um, like Red Cliff. You know, where he faced Wan Shao. You know, and his South's army is 1/10 of Yuan Shao's army. But how he beats him is phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? How he beats him was phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? um, and things like that. Also, how the Sun family amasses power, in the South, you know, um, and these other warlords that you never hear about, but they also play a part. They also play a role, but their time is always short lived. Um, if you just as time goes on, you know, and even though I would say, like story rise, like Lil Bay is the virtuous one, but as time goes on, you see how he gets corrupted. You know what I'm saying? He gets corrupted as he really starts to nation build. In a sense, he gets corrupted. Guan Yu gets corrupted. Shane Fei, well, Shane Fei is Shane Fei. He's just savage. He's always been that way. He's just savage. He's always been that way. This was a turning point of South and his quest to conquer the world to establish peace. He was right. The Han only existed in name, and Liu Bei refused to see. Yeah, that's. I mean, South sees it. He's like, man, yeah, it only exists, and this is the thing, it's going to exist in name, even under South. They don't really, it takes them a while to, even though they got this mass empire in the north and basically the Central Plains, even though they got this, basically half of the kingdom, the Han still exists in name only. You know what I'm saying? And he just takes the title of king. It's later that um his line founds the Wei Han, as emperors, under Cao Pi and things like that. But yeah, they don't really depose the emperor until later, way later on. I mean, the emperor, he's weak, but at the same time, he's still going to give secret edicts to certain warlords to fight in his name. They don't tell you that, but I mean, that's what he does. Um, so yeah. Um, but South is like Sip. We gotta have a bad guy, but it seemed like the bad guy had the most perfect plan. To rule the nation, or to unite the nation, partly. you know, at least until a certain strategist come on board, under them and take it from them. And finds his own dynasty. You know what I'm talking about? That Sima clan. You know what I'm talking about? But even after that, I mean, it's still a warring states period, because even though you have these dynasties, there's still no stability. You know what I'm saying? That there won't be any real stability till Tang Dynasty, really. You know what I'm saying? That's a ways off. So it's still a power vacuum, and then it shows you what happens in a power vacuum. No one's in power. All these warlords, all these atrocities, and battles and things like that. You know what I'm saying? Lil Bass trying to restore the Han, but by the time he gets old and gray, the people don't even care about the Han anymore. They care about where they live. Under Shu, under Wu, under Wei. Those are the kingdoms that they know. So, I mean, it, it like I say, it's a lot. It's a lot. You know, you need to cover this like more. Look, there's more than one TV show, more than one movie. You know what I'm saying? They all cover bits and pieces. You know, so yeah, that's what happens. You know, um, and I find it interesting that Southside says at the end, you know, only by conquering the world can one, you know, achieve peace. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, you know, your actionary debate is, you know, to conquer the world. And that's the only way you're going to achieve peace. That's the sacrifice. Peace can only be achieved there's sacrifice. And maybe that's the trade-off. You know, you got to subdue everybody in the region in order for it to be peace. You know, because at this time people can't, you know, really unite unless under one ruler. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna have to make them. You know, they're gonna have to get down and lay down. You know, so that's also I was trying to say. You know, but like I say, it's just an actionary debate during this whole time period, and you see who who's right, who's wrong, um and the works that they do, you know. But they put in the work, you know what I'm talking about? Like I like Wu. You know, Wu lasts the longest, you know, independently, but they get taken over too. You know what I'm talking about? Um, and things like that. Um, but you're gonna have a lot of famous people. Well, famous generals, famous um strategists also, you know, play a role. You know what I'm talking about? Look, this ain't even the time of Zhuge Liang, um, and Sima Yi and Zhao Yun, you know what I'm saying? And Zhou Yu, you know, all these dang on names. You know, that's still to come. You know, everybody got their 5 elite generals, 5 tiger generals, and things like that. You know what I'm saying? But uh, bruh, the political intrigue is in itself um for this period is very deep and very interesting because it's more psychological and you got to pick up on the cues. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's all. That's the whole movie. You know what I'm talking about? So next strong, we're gonna do I had to change it up. So we're gonna do Matrix Resurrections. Sister Kashia, this is the second time you done did this. I just want you to know that. That's the second time you done did this. So we gonna do this. But you already know. This is the second time she done did this. But you already know what this gonna be. Oh, it's too late now. It's already on the list. You put it there. Look, this is space. You can't take back your hand. What is you doing? Oh, too late now, pimp. Sister Deirdre, I got you on Kingdom of Heaven. Don't worry about it. I can do that for you anytime. But because of time constraints with with Matrix Resurrections, I have to put it first so everybody can watch it. Look, if you want to blame somebody, blame that one right there. Blame that one right there. I did put that on the list. Look at the name that requested it. I ain't gonna say who it is. Curse you. But don't worry. Yeah, you gotta hurry up and watch it. Yeah, that's the only reason why. So yeah, hurry up and watch. Hurry up and watch this one. Cause Cause yeah, I find it interesting that these Far Eastern sagas, the conflict is almost always devoid religious conflict. Um, it's usually more about control, redemption, or vengeance. Yeah, well, I guess you have to understand, Abahutu is that the emperor is seen as the deity figure. So basically, he is in a sense, he is the religion. Of course, they got Buddhism, Buddhism, and well, at least not at this time. But they have intellectual thinking, like Confucianism and like the Mozi and things like that. But yeah, it never plays a pivotal role to fanaticism, to start a movement or insurrection like that. It never has. At least in some of the histories that I've seen, it's never been that bad. You don't have Shaolin monks coming down to start a rebellion. You just don't. you know. Um. Yeah, hey, you don't want to put it on here, sister. Yeah, I'm just, hey, I'm. What are you looking at me for? I'm just a servant. He's the prince. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, Abu too. It never is. It's more about control. Redemption, yeah. Um, and vengeance, or it just could be. Hey, sometimes it's just because people are warlike. The state. The state of the union is fractured. You dealing with more than one. You're dealing with more than one different ethnicity. So that's a whole bunch of different bloodlines that don't like each other. You know how many wars? Unlike other Eastern countries, China has a lot of, has more than one warring states, period. Hey, there was a warring state period when Sun Tzu was writing the Art of War. You know what I'm talking about? So, you know, there's more than one period. That says something, Um, look, basically 19, well, World War One and on, you had the time of the warlords again. That's a warring states period. The Qing dynasty, the Manchus, Aishin Puyi, they kicked that little boy out. He was a kid when they made him emperor. They kicked him out, and then they put this warlord in there. Before the Nationalist Party got in there with General John Kai-shek and things like that, and it was just a bunch of different warlords running their own region of China. You know what I'm talking about? You know, warlord period. And that was during then. That nothing but pretty much like 100 years ago. So yeah, and major wars for who knows how long. Yeah, yeah. So it is what it is. You know what I'm talking about? But so yeah, we gonna do Matrix Resurrections. I ain't trying to and keep a little skirmish going on. Sustained practice. Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, look, yeah. But skirmishes are good, you know what I'm saying? Um helps to sharpen the blade, you know what I'm talking about. Nothing wrong with that. I mean, hey, you still got, look, you look at some superpowers, hey, they still doing, military activities, just sharpening the blade, in certain parts of the world, keeping keeping the military installations and their people fit, so they can be ready anytime it pop off. Cause World War III can always happen again. Don't think it can't happen. you know, when the power vacuum comes, that's when everybody want to get bucked. And you don't know where it's gonna come from. Who gonna get bucked first? Who gonna stand out in the forefront and be like, we gonna run this. It's our turn. You know, so that's something to look out for. And things like that. You know what I'm talking about? It because it happens. You look at any period of history, you'll find it. You'll find that reoccurrence happening. You know, um, like I say, prime example, World War II. That's one good example. You know, and things like that. World War One, World War II, things like that. Shoot, and that was going on during the Depression. Or what was called the Depression. What's going to happen during the Great, Resignation? Never know. That's probably when people go really get savage. So you gotta be on, keep your head on the swivel and, keep your eyes open. You know what I'm talking about? But yeah, that's what we're doing there strong. You know what I'm talking about? Whew. So, and then, tomorrow we got Shamanu. So I will see y'all for this movie that Sister Kashia signed us up for. Mind you, this is not one that I put in. I want that put in the records. I want that put in the records. Let the record show. It's the second time she did this. So let the record show I didn't do this. You know what I'm talking about? It's all her. And then she gonna try to take it back like Spades. Where did they do this at? You know what I'm talking about? How you gonna try to take it back? You already put it out your head. And you gonna be like, oh, nah, pimp. Can't do that. You already laid down your card. You laid down that two spades thinking it was gonna win. You already laid down your card, pimp. Can't take it back now. Don't we all? So, but that's all we got for you. So, like I said, give thanks to everybody for the well wishes and strengthening, doing the strengthening. Like I said, I really appreciate it. Greatly appreciate it. And hey, I'll get back to you next strong. You know what I'm talking about? So give thanks to everybody and have a good rest of your night. Peace.